Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move, and for today's episode, the very first episode of our new series, the Let's Play mode, with none other than, of course, as you can see on these screens, Dortmund. Now, of course, Dortmund, a very interesting team to take over. We'll be talking about a lot of things, but really the match that we'll be showing is just against Bayern in the German Super Cup. I feel like it is, we have a sort of new method of showing each episode. I feel like I'll be picking out the fixture of each month and then, just showing you that fixture, unless there happens to be a bunch of games that are, really intense or something, and then maybe we'll show you double games and whatnot. That's kind of just the plan for the series. Show you one game of the month sort of thing per episode. And so today's just made sense to show you the German Cup. There's some other games upcoming as well. Nottingham, Hertha and Frankfurt, I think the rest of the games in August. But obviously, as you can tell, it seems like Bayern are the biggest fixture for it. And obviously, a chance of silverware. But in terms of why pick Dortmund and why do a Let's Play with them, obviously, everyone knows Dortmund is an interesting team. They won the back-to-back Bundesliga titles, but sort of fell off after that. Second place twice, and then dropped down to 7th in a horrific season. Back up to 2nd, and then last season was 3rd. And so we want to kind of bring back some sort of stability to Dortmund. It seems like every time they win the league, they sort of drop off again, and they've had some very sort of mixed recent history, I suppose. You win the title 3 times in about, what was that, 20-year period, and then the rest of the times they're sort of up and down. So we want to try and help them dominate the league completely and more consistently in the same manner that Bayern Munich might do, and at the same time, what that means for me actually is just winning it back-to-back 3 times in a row, I think, is where you really start to dominate a league. And just try and bring back Dortmund to the elite of German football. I feel like they've dropped off a little bit. It'll make an interesting challenge because Bayern are so ahead of everyone else. And of course, I feel like the Bundesliga, or the German First Division as it says here in Football Manager, is a very actually underrated league. You make a ton of money if I can quickly show you according to your positions. So look, was it rules? It's in rules, isn't it? Yeah, look at first place gets 96 million. I think that's sort of rivaling the English Premier League as well in terms of money. So you can make some serious money here, and if you're smart enough, you can take a lower league team sort of thing and all the way up to German football and even win the title if you make the correct decisions at the correct times. And so we're trying to do that with Dortmund and hopefully overtake Bayern, who've won the title consecutively here. Let's have a look at the past winners. I want to have a look. Yeah, so Bayern have won it for the 5 times in a row. We kind of don't want to just break up the spell. I think RBL here, or Red Bull something, I forgot what they were called, to be honest. I can't believe I forgot. I think well, either way, they got really close last season. We want to try and just break up this rhythm here that Bayern are getting, and try and stop this league from becoming a one-team sort of league, and give more opportunities to other teams to compete. So that's sort of the overall plan. We don't want to spend too much time because we do want to focus on the match itself. So in terms of the squad, there's been a number of decisions that we can quickly go through, but I've done some changes. We'll have a quick look at this transfer history actually first. So I brought in 2 players, Alex Vidal and Geronimo Rulli, both for about, you could say 12.5 million on average. We've got a goalkeeper here, and the reason why I invested in the goalkeeper is because we didn't necessarily have a standout goalkeeper. So that's why we brought him in, and Vidal. It was just because of the right back spot was a little bit lacking. And we wanted a leading player from those Premier League, or not Premier League sides, rather the German First Division side. And yeah, he's a very capable right back, and of course, if needed, we can play him as a winger as well, and his versatility helps. 27 years old, Spanish international, just a single cap, but we can hopefully add to that if he's in good form for us. In terms of the outs, we've got Nuri Sahin to PSG for 14.5 million and Piszczek to Liverpool for 9.25. So we used that money, literally made 24 million and spent 24 million. Best has gone out on loan, and Larson as well on loan, and these are just 2 youngsters that you might not necessarily recognise. So in terms of the squad overall, it's been a bit of a mess in truth. I feel like I'm not sure how many managers Dortmund have had actually in recent times. I think after Klopp I sort of lost track. Can have a quick look. Peter Bosz here, and I think there was someone before him. They're not going to show who was before. So I think they've had, about, you could say 3 managers, including Klopp possibly, I would guess. And I feel like because they've all had different transfer strategies, different ways of building the team, this team actually has a good enough, ability to challenge for the title. But the problem is they're lacking in certain areas, and at the same time, there's just horrible imbalance to the squad. So I had to keep in mind when I was making my tactics that the board actually do want us to play with attacking football and develop players using the club's youth system. That's something that I like to do anyways, but more importantly, playing attacking football. So I feel like the squad was actually more suited to possession football, if you ask me. We had inside forwards. Inside forwards don't cross a lot. They do dribble a bit, which was not what we want for a possession football, but at least they don't cross a lot, and they don't necessarily shoot a lot, and that's sort of what possession football is all about. You don't want players who dribble, you don't want players who cross, and you don't want players who take stupid shots. And it seemed like the whole squad sort of suited that type of football, but unfortunately possession football is more, you play it on the counter tactic rather than the on the more attacking tactics or mentalities such as control or attacking. I feel like it's a low risk strategy that sort of goes with possession because you're trying to keep the ball, you don't play risky passes necessarily. And so that's why I had to play with a bit more of an attacking tactic, and that's what we've gone for: control, direct style of football. I've showed this tactic before in my other team guides, and you can probably see more explanations on possession football and that sort of business on the Premier League series that I did on team guides and tactics as well. But for us, we're just going to go with more direct passing, use title marking, use offside trap, play unstructured and control mentality, and that way we're going to be very attacking, and it's to bring out the best out of Aubameyang, who's a poacher. Unfortunately for us, pass and move football would have been a nice option to have, but it requires overlapping partnerships, like a fullback on attack who overlaps his winger, rather than a direct partnership, which is, wingers on attack and fullbacks on support, for example. So, Aubameyang doesn't play any necessary support role too well, and to bring out the best out of him, he's actually best as a poacher, and so we'll be using him in that role, and that suits a direct style of football. So we've gone with that just to try and bring out the best out of him. Unfortunately, it means that Yarmolenko and Royce aren't going to be playing in their most favourable roles, which is inverted or inside forwards. But it's not to worry too much about, because they are very capable as wingers. Look at those attributes, very capable. It's all about retraining them for those positions. Royce as well, he's very capable with his right foot. Doesn't necessarily cut inside from the right wing, so he'll be okay. And just to give you an idea, winger, very capable as well, decent crossing there too. So that's what we've gone for. Of course, Royce is injured. We'll change this just a second before the game gets started, but just to give you an idea of what we're eventually trying to build towards. We're not too far off, but this is a bit of a more of a balance. We tried to squeeze in Kagawa, Götze, Yarmolenko, Royce and Aubameyang all into the same side. Castro was one of the best midfielders as well, and so to do that we had to actually sacrifice some stability or some solidity in midfield. We've gone with Castro in his deep line playmaker on support role. If needed, we will play him on defend instead, but unfortunately for us, his positioning is a little bit lacking, so I try to avoid that by playing him as deep line playmaker on support. They'll still hold, but maybe not as good. Got Kagawa as an advanced playmaker. Preferably I want a roaming playmaker instead, but he's not good enough in that role. Much more comfortable as an advanced playmaker. Him and Götze are very close in terms of ability, but I've gone for Götze in the attacking midfield spot instead, because he edges him just about, and it makes a little bit more sense to play him there. Apparently he's already got a good partnership with Aubameyang as well. Fullbacks to complement the wingers, and we've got Barter and Papastopoulos. We're actually going to play Barter as a ball-playing defender. He suits it more. And Papadopoulos is very happy with that central defend role. So sweeper keeper on attack seems to make most sense. We're playing an offside trap and we've got to dribble more, which helps with the direct style of play. A direct style means we're looking for players who cross a lot, who shoot a lot, and who dribble a lot, and that's why we've gone for wingers who dribble and cross a lot. And of course, eventually we'll try and get those other two roles. So we're not too far off. But yeah, like I mentioned, this is what we eventually want to build towards. It's just a couple of role changes, but we'll keep the same formation. So yeah, Bayern are definitely going to be a very tough team to face against. We'll quickly change some of these players. But we'll talk about, you get more accustomed with the players, of course, naturally, as the game goes on. But really, we've had to make some tough decisions. So Schürrle is actually on the transfer list. I know it's a bit of an unusual thing, but considering he's on under 5k wages and he was a rotational player, he's also an inside forward, which doesn't necessarily suit our tactics. And if we play him on the right, we had too many right wingers, and he's definitely a bit too good to be playing as a backup to Royce. He'll be expecting more football than he might lead on, I suppose. He's a leading player for most Premier League sides, or First Division sides, so I would love to actually hold on to him. And I think if I can't sell him, it'll be a bit of a victory, because Royce is actually out for 5 to 6 months. So instead of bringing in someone on loan to cover him until winter time, we could just use Schürrle if he doesn't manage to be moved on. The main area of concern is actually the striker position at the moment. Aubameyang doesn't have a capable striker. Just to give you an idea of the weird decisions that these Dortmund managers have made, they bought in this Hungarian here, 900 wages, but they literally just bought him, and it doesn't even say for how much, and for some reason it just doesn't make any sense. He's a regional division side player, definitely no way gonna be a good enough player. We've also got this guy here, Ornatelli, another one who's been brought in, 31 years of age, for free. Can't sell him, of course, because they've just brought him in, but he's a third division side as well, so it's absolute nonsense, some of the investments they've made. We've also got Roman Berkey and Roman Weidenfeller, who are both on the transfer list. Weidenfeller is very tough to sell because he wants to stay at Dortmund. I thought it would just make sense since he's 36 years of age. We might not get too much money from him, but at least wages will get off, less, we'll get rid of his wages, and at the same time, it'll open up a spot for someone else. But he's very determined to end his career at Dortmund, so it's been tough. So I thought, okay, let me sell Berkey instead. And just to give you an idea, both of these goalkeepers are only good enough for first division. We want leading players. We want players, because we're supposed to be a top team, and that's what made me buy Rolly, who's considered the leading player for most Premier League side, Argentinian goalkeeper. And I think he definitely can earn himself some caps once we, get him going. But yeah, first team 50k. Just that gives you an idea, because Roman Weidenfeller and Roman Berkey are both all on 50k wages, even though they're considered backup players. We also want to get rid of Eric Durm and Rode. Rode will give us some nice balance because we are looking for a ball-winning midfielder, but unfortunately he's not good enough. So I thought we'd make some money from him, invest it anywhere somewhere else. Centre-back's a bit of a concern in terms of the depth, because Subotic, for example, is only a decent player and he's susceptible to injuries. But I thought we could survive with Papastopoulos and Barta. Toprak was just brought in, but he's only a good player for most Premier League sides, so we do want to get rid of him eventually. But yeah, that's just the kind of thing that we want to do, hopefully. Even Royce, to be honest, if you ask me, is a liability. Susceptibility to injuries, I never invest in the player who's susceptible to injuries. But, if we have a capable backup, we should be okay. Just to give you a general idea, so we've got Aubameyang as a striker. His backup is the player that we mentioned, Balint. Yarmolenko's backup is actually Guerrero. Normally a left back, but I feel like his lacking in positioning, marking and tackling doesn't make any sense, so we'll push him up the further field into a winger role. As a central midfielder, he's not too great. He's lacking in strength, balance, finishing, that sort of business, tackling even. I checked him in a couple of other roles, so I thought I'd just push him up into the winger role instead, where it seems to get the best out of the Portuguese. Kagawa and Castro's backups are Julian Weigl and Mahmoud Dahoud, who are both very capable central midfielders. Both youngsters with tons of potential, a bit high wages if you ask me, but also they don't give us too much balance. They're playing in the same roles that we already currently have, and we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to move towards a ball-winning midfielder and a roaming playmaker. So we might have to consider only keeping one of them. But those are eventual long-term targets anyways. I think we can just move into today's game. This is the team that we'll be going with. A lot of these players are lacking fitness, and of course there's heavy injuries. We'll take off Schmelzer for Toyan, I think. He's supposed to be their backup right back. Weigl is the central midfielder. We'll bring on Dahoud to the bench. Guerrero, winger. Royce is injured as well, so maybe we'll just put Schürrle on the bench. And that's our 7 there. Yeah, 4 substitutes out the bench. Alright. So yeah, I think we can eventually kick off. Maybe after the game we can quickly cover some of the other things. But yeah, it's just sort of things that will happen over time, I suppose. But just to give you an idea, like I mentioned, not an overall load of depth outside the first team squad. Training, I feel like, yeah, it's fine. We did really well in our preseason, actually. A bunch of wins here. Just Atletico Madrid, we drew. Got some decent wins, like against FCP, for example, and some high-numbered wins, like 5-0 here. But we will need better opposition next season. Scouting team I've completely revamped, and I've given them world packages for both the senior and youth ones. And I feel like that's it. There's some under-23 youngsters to look out for. These in particular, these 3, and I think Alexander here can definitely be a first-teamer. He's kind of making me reconsider investing in a backup striker, but he's just not ready for first division football, so it's a bit of an area of concern. Maybe next season he can join our squad, but as a complete forward, he is the man for our team. But that's kind of it. I feel like, just to give you an idea of the staff revamp that I've done, and we're completely dominating every coaching department and every recruitment or scout department. Medical staff could do some doing, but feel the need to fire anyone. I like to just let them run out their contracts themselves, and then we'll improve on it. But it's just good to see that we're outnumbering everyone else in the division, and hopefully we can do that in terms of points. So for today, German Super Cup on the line, and I think we can finally just kick off. Have we got the right tactics set? Familiarity is very close. Dynamics can definitely improve. Guts, I was very unhappy with some of the sales like Sahin and Piszczek, but he'll get over it, of course. We need to do what's best for the team overall. There you go. I think we can see some interesting debuts from Vidal and our goalkeeper, who I've already forgotten his name. And we should have a good enough squad to compete. I don't think Bayern are necessarily going to go with a full strength squad. They've got Lewandowski, but Tillman, Benko, Robin maybe a first team player, Vidal, Tolisso not necessarily, Bernat yes, Sole kinda, Kimmich kinda, and Ulreich. I think we can definitely try and put some pressure on this side. So I think we can go to the dressing room. I actually forgot in my tactics to set the holding midfielder. We need him to mark the attacking midfield position. I love how they added the mark specific position rather than mark specific player, and I feel like that works a little bit better than marking a specific player who can drag you all over the pitch, and that's kind of it, so it makes more sense. So we'll do that. Is that actually completed? Okay, let's go back to team talk, see what we can tell our players. Assertive, let's do that. Still early days, I'm not going to respond to everything I say, of course, but I'm hoping to see some decent performances there and just at least show Bayern that we mean business. So we're going to have to change a couple of things here. We'll keep the director and replays. We'll go to key highlights, not extended. Quickly go to match, and the camera will keep us on actually TV. And I think that's just about it. We'll keep the shots, clear-cut chances, all that business over here. We can zoom out a little bit of hint. And yeah, I like to show 3D football, and to be honest, I'm not too much a fan of 2D football, especially as YouTube videos. Anyways, Guts is on the ball here early, and it looks like there's going to be a bit of a chance. Not really. Alright, we'll pick up the pieces quite easily. And huge Dortmund support. Are we actually at home? I thought this was going to be a neutral sort of stadium, I guess. But either way, Bayern trying to play out the back. Bartra picks up the pieces, but only gives it to Robin, and Lewandowski's on the attack here. Tries to find his player through, kind of did, but Bartra clears up, and Rulli on his debut finally has the ball as a sweeper keeper. Knocks it forward. Götze down to Castro. Really good header actually, and Kagawa's on the ball now. Through to Yarmolenko. What can the new signing do? He's not my signing, but here's this new signing. Finds Aubameyang, and there you go, a poacher's goal. And we are 1-0 up within a minute and 20 seconds. And you can't ask for a better start. One shot on target, and one clear-cut chance. We're going to get that director's cut here. Castro to Kagawa, just simple, and what a playmaking ball that is. Yarmolenko's alive to it as well, and he just does really well to find Aubameyang. Simple cross. His crossing's actually better than Royce, but he will need to adjust to that left-wing role. I'm going to pause it for a second because I want to make some changes. I like to have my assistant manager's feedback here, and I like to have the Bayern formation as well, just to see if they change anything. Looks like they've already gone to 2 defensive midfielders, unless they started that way. I'm pretty sure there was, maybe they did, it wouldn't make sense to change it already, but I did think there were 2 central midfielders, not defensive midfielders. Anyways, Castro on the ball once more, deep line playmaker to Aubameyang, down to Philip, and a bit of a weird cross to the back post, but Kagawa can take a shot. Nope, he takes out wide instead. He's going to look for a cross. Castro, nope, tackled before it reached him, and Park Jo-ho takes an incredibly long range shot. And it looked like he was trying to win himself a place in the side, to be honest. He's not necessarily, he's someone who in the long term we want to get rid of. In truth, he's actually transfer listed when the game starts, when you start your career with Dortmund. But the truth is we needed some depth in the left back spot because we pushed up Guerrero to left wing position. I'm trying to bring in someone, but there's no one who's really a leading fullback that we can necessarily invest in. I was hoping to sell Schürrle and use that money to bring in the proper left back, but there's more areas of concern, such as the striker, where Aubameyang, if he becomes injured, we're going to be in huge trouble with Bayern here, who's not only very incapable for the first team, he's also a target man, and that doesn't suit us at all. Maybe it does suit direct football in general, but it doesn't suit that we have a poacher role. We're trying to get someone who's a poacher, or at least the role that we're building towards, which is complete forward, and unfortunately he's neither. So it looks like we head into half-time with just the 1-0 lead. Bayern are struggling in some areas. We're losing a lot of possession apparently in the central middle of the third of the pitch, which makes sense. I think they have better control in that, and they're playing more defensively, I suppose. Struggle for possession in the opposition's half is not good to see, but I think that's a bit of a risky area in the field anyways. Poor shots to touches ratio, and Mats Hummels lost possession more than any other player in the team, so that's okay with us really. 1 burnout to 1 possession, not good. Regained possession well in central mid, okay, that's good to see. In terms of shots, 5-6, 2-2, and they've just about edged possession, but we're edging the game itself. So what can we say at half time to try and get them to keep it up? Let's do that. Let's keep them focused. Bayern are definitely going to try coming out in the second half all fired up. And we're going to have to try and keep them at bay. The good news is, not a single click chance or a half chance even from Bayern. And it looks like we're quite dominating this game. And Aubameyang takes an early free kick. If the rest of the game goes like that, I'll be very happy. Of course, Aubameyang won't be, but at least I will. Philip's the only one who's been underperforming for us. I guess it is a bit of an unnatural role for him. He'll have to grow accustomed to it. I had to squeeze in a lot of players in unusual roles, I suppose. They can do it attribute-wise. 1 second, Yarmolenko to Aubameyang. Can he finish it? Of course he can. Why would I even doubt that? That's 2-0, and that's exactly why we're trying to bring out the best out of Aubameyang. We've sacrificed the rest of the team's formation and roles for the sake of Aubameyang staying as a poacher, because if we played him in possession football, might have suited us a bit. If we played them in the pass and move football, which suited because we had the inside forwards and whatnot, we wouldn't be able to play Aubameyang as a poacher. So we've made some sacrifices, but Aubameyang's making sure that we don't regret it with 2 goals to his name. And it might not be the biggest silverware to win, but it's the first one that we can in the season, and we're doing well. Obviously still too early to say that we've won it, but we definitely do have the advantage. 2 goals to our name. Vidal's the only player who's tired, no one necessarily underperforming except for Philip. So we'll make some changes. We'll bring on Schürrle off the bench, who'll be happy to try and prove himself. We actually managed to get a bid accepted from Liverpool for him. They actually paid his full value, but unfortunately they did not give him any wages that he liked, and that's why I'm trying to offload him, because we'll never be able to sell him with 100k wages on him. Vidal, though, we can take him off for Jeremy Toyan as well. We've got very capable substitutes coming on here, so hopefully that shouldn't affect our performance. And Bayern are struggling in some weird areas. Kimmich, for example, I guess because he's not really a right back. They've got an attacking left midfielder, or was it Tillman now, who's been moved to attacking midfield, I suppose. There's a highlight immediately after the substitutions. Hopefully it's in our favour. Aubameyang on the ball. Does well to find Schürrle. No fitness though, so it's a bit of an issue, but can he put good ball into the box? Instead, it kind of takes a deflection and alright, makes it look better than it really was. But either way, corner for us. Maybe we can make it 3 here. Castro with the delivery. Aubameyang. You would have thought poacher's header maybe instead of a poacher's goal, I suppose. Yarmolenko does the safe thing. Goes back to Toyan, who finds Barter really well. And the ball playing defender finds Götze. Anyways, he's here on the ball again. That's the end of that. Alright, 70 minutes. Let's see who else. Is anyone else tired or playing poorly? A couple of tired players. I guess we could make some substitutions. We could take off Castro for Dahoud. Let's do that. He's the least performing out of Kagawa and Götze. And it looks like them two playing on the same field, or the same starting 11, seems to be doing us okay so far. We do have to remember this is sort of a Bayern Munich B team. We are missing some key players ourselves, but not as much as Bayern, I suppose. And we're capitalising on their mistake to field a weakened side. Götze, though, can't win the ball off Tolisso, I suppose. And Kimmich has an opportunity to deliver the ball into the box. Oh, he does really well there, and that's too easy. Who is that? Toyan. That's the substitute coming off the bench and absolutely leaving his player free to put the ball on a plate for Lewandowski, who's of course not going to miss from that type of distance. But look at that, that's just incredibly poor. Götze doesn't really attempt to win the ball. Tolisso just spreads out wide to Kimmich, and just watch as the ball comes in. He absolutely leaves his man here. It's just so weird how it happens. He runs out left instead of actually facing the ball or staying with their man. And Lewandowski just has to put it away. Barta's maybe a little bit concerned of Robin. Park-Ho is kind of trying to cover him. We've got a bunch of players here who are just not really doing anything. And that's fair play to Bayern Munich to capitalising on our mistakes. Goalkeeper can It'd be an incredible goal if he did anything there. Did I even make tactical changes? I think it's a substitute, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Let's bring in on substitute Dahoud. Hopefully he can be better than Toyan. Having said that, 74th minute and Bayern Munich have the ball. Or not. Alright, Parko does decide to pick it up, I suppose. Yarmolenko to Kagawa, to Götze, to Dahoud, and directly to Aubameyang. That's pass and move football, really. Aubameyang, though, can he make it? Yes, he can, and it's 3-1, a hat-trick for Pierre Aubameyang. And we couldn't ask for a better start to the season and a better way for Aubameyang to prove his worth. Even though he doesn't necessarily have to, I suppose. But that's just beautiful play there, and that's what I like about direct football. You just... It's sort of, you know, you're not wasting time, really. You're not just keeping the ball for the sake of the ball, and I'm already loving this tactic. And if we could add better stability, like the ball winning midfield and whatnot, and just move the tactic, shift the tactic a little bit better to suit us overall, then we should be much better. You know, playing two advanced playmakers isn't ideal. You know, I guess Kagawa and Götze are both going to try being on the ball a lot more. They're both going to sort of fight for the ball, I suppose. And I prefer having just one playmaker. But anyways, Yarmolenko. Decent delivery, but no one's really attacking it. You'd think Aubameyang would go for it. But instead, he sort of just reserves his energy, I suppose, not looking for the super hat-trick. Hummel's on the ball, though. Could press them high up. We're not necessarily doing that. I haven't set the tactics for it, but Robbins, loose touch, lets Kagawa find Yarmolenko. Götze, through to Aubameyang, is it going to be 4? Of course, but it's not. It's offside. I had a feeling it was, but the way he slotted it, and then I saw the assistant referee raise the flag. But anyways, 3-1's good enough, 4-1 would have been lovelier, but I think we've showed Bayern that we mean business, even though it still is early days. Having said that, Lewandowski on the ball. Spreads it out wide to Pantovic. He's playing pretty narrow, and that helps Toyan win the ball quite comfortably. And Götze finds Aubameyang, who turns and plays a good ball into Yarmolenko. And he's going to take his man on and hopefully put a good ball into the box. 3 players in the box. Finds Schürrle. Can he finish? Yes, he can. And that is him trying to say, do not sell me, boss. I want to stay. Really high wages for a backup player, though. Royce is definitely going to be your first choice right winger. Unfortunately for Schürrle, there's no real position for him, and Yarmolenko is definitely the first choice left winger, and Schürrle is just sort of a backup, an not overrated, but overpaid backup, who we could do without in terms of wages. To be honest though, he is the perfect backup, a leading player for most first division sides. I'm so used to saying Premier League because of the series that we made, but yeah, I mean, you can't really ask for better. Obviously, my balance that I prefer is a player, starting 11 player who's in his prime years, leading player, star player, or even world-class player, and then the backup youngster who has potential to be that, leading star, world-class player. So the backup that we have isn't a youngster, but he is a leading player, so it kind of balances out. It's better than having a backup who's just a decent. And we get to see this incredibly weird celebration of us winning the German Super Cup. And there's my confetti as well, so let's let the players enjoy it, I suppose. To be honest, I always skip this bit. But anyways, predicted the Bayern win. Well, that was your mistake. And thought that we could have seen the draw. Nah, mate, completely wrong. We've absolutely destroyed them, and I don't think they had anything other than one clear-cut chance. Lewandowski with just a single goal, and I think fair play to the boys for having an incredibly good game. Cannot complain about that by any means. Obviously, I'd love a clean sheet, but yeah, beating Bayern 4-1 for, the way to kick off our season is really the perfect way. Hopefully that's just us spelling the end for Bayern's dominance in Germany. They can be the second B-rated team, I suppose, rather than us. But yeah, Dortmund, Super Cup. How many of those have we won? Let's have a quick look at the history. Obviously, it also helps me in terms of the winning the board over already, and the players will be happy, of course. Not absolutely, but yeah. German Cup 2017. Last time we won it was 2014. And I think the way Aubameyang's playing, he'll beat his own record of 39 goals. Anyways, very good way to start. And in terms of when we'll be back, there are obviously, August isn't over yet, so there's going to be a huge amount of transfers still going on, possibly. We are looking to move on some players and bring in some others, like we mentioned, but it depends on how the transfer market goes and transfer window. In terms of, like we mentioned, one match per, or one episode per month. So we've chosen Bayern for the month of August, and I think for the month of September, I'm very tempted to show Leverkusen, but of course it depends. There's a number of games here. How many of those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there is Bayern once more in the first division, but I don't want to show that twice. Leverkusen are quite interesting, and within 2 games time we should sort of know where we kind of stand in the league. Hopefully we'll have 6 points already. Obviously still very early, but a away trip to Leverkusen will prove tricky. BMG at home, we should beat them, but they will be a tough team. Wolfsburg away might be a bit tricky as well, but I might show you a Champions Cup game instead, a Champions League game. Depends on who we draw, really. In terms of cup competitions, I don't really like to show them until we've actually reached the board expectations, so I'm more likely to show you the Champions League, for example, when we reach the first knockout round. The German Cup, only if we reach the final, for example, seems to make the most sense. The first division is the one where we want to show you all the action, because that's where we really, where the aim of this series is, to try and dominate the league. But anyways, yeah, if you did enjoy today's episode, of course, please hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And as always, guys, thank you all for watching.